Hello there, and welcome to Dr. T for today, September the 27th. We are starting off on stage 1, as always, and we're going up the left-hand side, taking out a cannon. Now, if you're really low level on, this Dr. T and you're looking for help, you can either use your GBE to blow up that cannon. 2 or 3 artillery should be able to take it out, even if you're like only artillery level 2, or you can throw a shock if you have shocks already and let your troops just kind of roll up and blow up the cannon before the shock wears off. Either one works, either one will get you the win, and then you can move on to this level. Now on this level, I accidentally flared over to where I ultimately wanted to go more to the left there. But if you're really low level, you're going to have to take out that machine gun before you take out the rocket launcher, because otherwise that machine gun's going to be working on your troops and is going to do a mountain of damage, and you don't want that to happen. So flare onto the machine gun first, blow up the machine gun, then flare your troops over into the safe zone of the rocket launcher, blow up all the things, get the win, everybody gets to go home happy except for Dr. T. Now stage 3 has a 9.5k shock launcher right in the middle of it. It's gotta go. You're gonna have to throw barrage artillery and anything you got at it to make sure it's gone by the time you land your troops. Now if that happens, you can land on the left-hand side, go up the left-hand side, and your troops will naturally cut through the defenses. You'll be able to take everything out and kind of just coast around to the mortar. Now once that mortar goes down, there's a very good chance that you're going to have to reflare your troops up onto the edge of the map, because they're going to want to naturally drift down towards the machine guns and the flamethrowers and whatnot, and we don't want that to happen. Then, once you're in this position, there's one rocket launcher that even has range on you, and frankly, if you have like any kind of medics with your tanks at all, they're going to have no problem out-healing that rocket launcher for the couple of seconds that it takes to take down the HQ. Let's move on to stage 4. Okay, so on stage 4, things get cranked up a notch or 3. They really whipped out the Spice Weasel and bam! So what I suggest doing is landing left hand side and let your tanks just sort of start farming up the GBE. Take out the machine guns, they shouldn't do a whole lot of damage, even if you don't have tanks. But if you do flare back like I did, don't flare necessarily quite that close to the flamethrower. I got lucky. I was a hairbreadth away from being in range of the flamethrower. If you have more tanks than I do, there's a very good chance that you will be within range of the flamethrower, and those flamethrowers will do a lot of damage to your tanks. So just be a little careful. Now there is a boom cannon right next to the HQ that has to go via GBE. Also, you're going to want to save at least one barrage for over here on the left hand side, so you can throw the one barrage and clear up a whole bunch of mines that are over there. Obviously my barrage kind of took out some of the buildings, but even if you don't take out the buildings with your barrage and just soften them up, it'll make it that much easier for your tanks when your tanks finally swing around and hit those, to just kind of finish them off and move through them very quickly, which is good because you can hit all 4 of those cannons in one shock, and you're probably going to want to do that so that they don't chew up your poor tanks. Now, stage 5, one boom cannon in the middle of the map, bam, right there, it's gotta go. It's 12,500 hit points, and it's gotta go. Now the good news is, if you take that out, as you can see here, there's like the 2 machine guns right down on the beach. You can just let your tanks chew those up and use them for free GBE. Then you've got the sniper tower. It's gotta go, but hopefully you get a good spread on your tanks and most of your tanks go off towards the sniper tower. You kind of want to have as few as possible over there on the flamethrower, because once that flamethrower goes down, you're going to start moving into cannon territory, and that's death for your poor tanks. So you're going to have to flare down into the bottom right hand corner the same as I did. This will allow your medics a little bit of extra time to heal up and kind of do their thing, and then drift forward towards the cannon and sniper tower, and there's some other defenses, but they're non-defenses. We don't care about them. We're too good for machine guns, mortars, and flamethrowers in our tanks. Anyways, once you've taken out the cannon and the sniper tower, you kind of want to go over to the right and use the remaining defensive buildings that are sitting on the map to swing your tanks back around towards the HQ. I didn't necessarily do that, but it probably would have made things a lot easier, because with those two sniper towers that are just northeast of the HQ, yeah, you can throw a shock and hit them both, but if you go around the right hand side, they'll actually be, your tanks will be led into blowing those up, and then once your tanks blow those up, you can flare back into the safe zone, and it'll just make it that much easier on your poor tanks. And then you can move on to stage 6. Now with stage 6, there are a bunch of level 14 boom cannons with a whole bunch of boost on them. They're 23k each, so be prepared to drop some GBE at the cash register. Anyways, 2 barrages takes out the one up in the north. The second crater that you can see right next to where that boom cannon was, almost hidden behind the sniper tower, was another boom cannon that I didn't even include on my hit points thing there, because it's a level 1 boom cannon. That's why I say use the 2 barrages on that particular cannon, because if you use the 2 barrages, the AoE damage from 2 max barrages is enough to take out that level 1 boom cannon that really has zero business on this Dr. T stage 6. Like, let's be honest here. Alright, now, obviously because 2 barrages were used on the 1 boom cannon, I had to use artillery to finish off the other one. Make sure you spread those out. I didn't spread them out very good. You can actually take out an extra building as you're blowing up the boom cannon if you're careful, so make sure you spread your artilleries in a friendly manner, I guess. Once you're coming in from the right hand side though, you want to go up towards the top side of the map. Once you do that, a simple shock can take out, wham, right like that, the cannon, the sniper tower, the rocket launchers, and everything. Just be careful as you let your tanks sort of drift forward to take out some of those extra defenses. You don't drift too far forward or too far south, because there's still those two boom cannons, and if you let your tanks drift too much, they're going to move into boom country, and boom country is the only thing worse than cannon country, so just stay away from it. Just don't go. Been there, don't want to do it again. I don't know. Alright, once you've taken out stage 6 from the top corner there, we'll be able to move on to stage 7, which only has the 1 boom cannon, and that's a good thing, because it's got 33,000 hit points, and you're going to want to blow it up. Make sure you use at least 1 barrage, because there are some mines back there, and the barrage will take out the mines. Also, it'll spread damage over onto the sniper tower. Now, whether you want to use 2 barrages or more artilleries, that's completely up to you. But make sure you spread as much damage as possible onto that sniper tower. Okay, so once you land your troops, obviously I threw the critters to distract the cannons. I made sure to land all my tanks over on the left-hand side in roughly the same spot right in front of the cannon, because the first thing we want our tanks to do is to land on the beach, see the cannon, lock onto the cannon, and blow the cannon up before our critters get all blown up by the rocket launchers and machine guns and flamethrowers and everything like that. And what that'll do is buy your tanks enough time to get into position and take out that horrible cannon, because even though it's a normal cannon, it will still start erasing tanks in I think like 2 shots, which, well, we can't handle those kinds of losses. It's just not in the budget, okay? Now, I did throw a shock onto the sniper tower and cannon over on the left-hand side, mostly just to let my tanks move forward and do a little extra GBE farming on the landing, because, well, I am going to need that GBE to deal with the crazy shock launchers that you see up here in the top half of the map. Now, one shock, and it was a poorly placed shock, one shock can actually take out both of those sniper towers, the shock launcher, and everything with it, all the way down to the shock launcher to the southeast, I guess. Closest, the rocket launcher close to the shock launcher on the left. Oh man, there's too many buildings. Let's not even worry about it. The point is, throw your shocks over there. It'll shock the shock launcher and the sniper towers and all the good things. But make sure you save enough GBE to throw a buttload of damage at the other shock launcher on the other side of the HQ, because you're going to have to blow it up. Anyways, once you get the 2 shock launchers down, you are home free. It's actually like, you know, downhill from there. You can just sort of coast along and you'll be absolutely fine. Just make sure to keep an eye on the 2 sniper towers that are going to try pecking away at your tanks, and you should get the win. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully this has been entertaining. And most importantly, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day.